Welcome. Today, we're going to cover the team experience and Path to Agility. And I'm David Hawks, CEO and founder and creator of Path to Agility. And we're going to start on what we call the team dashboard. On the team dashboard, we have selected a team here. This is called the Ecom Pink team. And we're just in the beginning state. We don't really have any data yet. We don't have our objectives defined. We don't have a backlog. We don't have action items. And so one of the first things we want to do is start gathering kind of current state data. So the way we do that is we kick off what we call an assessment. And I've got one queued up over here. And there's an assessment in Path to Agility for the team level, what we call capabilities, and also system or team-to-team capabilities, organizational capabilities. Today, we're just going to focus on the team level. And you can see that there's 34 different capabilities that we could assess. We can also sometimes shorten that and focus on the first couple stages of Path to Agility, limit that down to 22 for the first 3 stages. And we're looking at, here we see that we're on clear team purpose. We've got the ability to do a little see a video and overview explanation of this capability. And we've got the description, we've got acceptance criteria, and this is an interface that you would use as a facilitator with a team. You have the ability to copy this link up here and share that in your Zoom or Teams with your group. And the idea is that the team is doing the assessment, like a self-assessment. We believe the strength is for the team to become self-aware, and because the team is also the one that needs to take action. And so as you start that off, you would introduce this capability, you would open voting, and they would be participating on their end. And you can see some progress here of people that are responding. And you can get those responses start to come in. At the point that you feel like you've got everybody represented and you've got a good group of responses, then you can kind of close voting. Now, for simulating here, we just have one vote, but you would probably have different people at different levels that are voting, and you might have some slightly mets, partially mets. And the goal is to have a conversation about that and eventually get to consensus. So you have the ability to kind of reopen voting. People could change their answers. They could stick with their answers. Kind of like if you've ever facilitated a planning poker activity. At first, we don't want to anchor. We don't want people to shout out their answer. We want everybody to vote kind of silently. And then we can reveal. And then we don't want it to be anonymous. We want, hey, whoever voted for slightly met, talk about why you voted that way. Whoever voted for mostly met. And usually what we're doing is clarifying understanding. Oh, I didn't understand that's what this was a part of. Or I thought we were mostly met until you said, the team understands the factors that make up their success, and we don't have that. And that might change our answer. So we would go through, and ultimately, once the discussion's happening, if we get to agreement, that's great. Or we have the ability as the facilitator to say, all right, it sounds like we're mostly at, slightly met or partially met, and I can set the final answer here before I hit next. Then I can go through and vote, open voting on the next one. So we're now looking at stakeholders identified and that capability. I would present this kind of description and what this is, again, open voting. And then once we do that, we could see how we voted. If everybody's voted the same, then we're good, right? And we say, okay, we're going to move on. Everybody's at mostly met. Let's move on to the next thing. And we would just work through these questions and doing this assessment to gather this data. And then at the point that we're done, we would go ahead and close the what we call this poll or this facilitator interface with that. Now, there's a couple of other things I could do that I want to highlight. I also could add notes as we're going along. So if there's something relevant that we're talking about in our discussions and I want to capture that, I could capture that, that note, down here. And I also could add action items. Like, is there something that we want to do to take action in order to improve our roles fulfilled? Maybe it's like we need to define who is the Scrum Master because we haven't done that yet. And that's something that we need to do. So we could go ahead and add a work item or an action item, an improvement, or maybe even capture an impediment, something that is blocking us from being able to proceed in this area. So those are all things that I could do as I'm facilitating this assessment. Now, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to move over to another team. So now I was on the pink team, now I'm on the green team. So the magic of television, I'm going to reveal, here's a team where we've gone through and we've already done an assessment. So now you see there's colors on this map. What these colors are representing is how we assessed, what was our capability that we had for these teams. And you actually can see that we've got data over time loaded here. So we can see that like team formed has improved over a number of quarters because we gathered data over a period of time. And we could click into that and we could see how we're doing within those different capabilities like clear team purpose and stakeholders identified that we were talking about. So in this case, this team is 100% or fully met on 3 of the areas, but still has 1 of the areas that they need to work on, right? And that they're still low in. And that would hold true, and then we're often we'll see more green to the left, more red to the right as we look at this. Now, the other thing that I can do is I can go through and load up this prioritization page. And within this prioritization page, the first thing that I want to do within the team is select what is our business outcome? What is our goal? What is the thing that we're trying to achieve? And from an improvement perspective, are we trying to get better at quality? Are we trying to get better at speed, predictability? What is it that we're trying to do? Once we select that, then what we're going to get is some guidance around where are the areas that should be at the top of our improvement backlog. And so what we see here is clear team purpose has emerged at the top of our backlog. And what this P2A index here is what's giving us the guidance and giving us this sort order. And that's based on a number of factors. First factor is what's our current state. So we're not very good at clear team purpose. But another factor is our business outcome, predictability. And we've connected, we've correlated which capabilities would move the needle the most on that target business outcome that we selected. And then there's dependencies across the path to agility of, in order to achieve maybe a downstream capability, I need an upstream capability. And so there's other capabilities that are dependent on achieving clear team purpose, which is making that P2A index pretty high. And the P2A index is from a 0 to 99 type of score. So 99 being the highest. So right now it's saying clear team purpose is one of the highest important things for us to do. Make work visible is number 2, product backlog, stakeholder engagement. There's things down here that we've marked as fully met that have a 0 score because we fully met, right? So those are all the way down at the bottom of the list. If those values were lower, they would likely be higher on the list. This is giving us guidance. Now we could always override this and say, based on what we know and what we want to work on, we've decided that team value ownership, it's going to warn us that we're overriding those priorities. But I could say, team value ownership is really the thing that's most important. And making work visible is the second most. And then we'll get back to clear team purpose as something that we want to do. So we can set those priorities and override them but leverage the guidance that's giving us. If we change the business outcome, we're going to get a different ranking order. And then if we go back to our dashboard, what we'll see here is the objective that we set. And we can see our top items from our backlog showing up here to give us one place where we can kind of see what's our current state, what is it that we're trying to improve in, what is our backlog, and then remember when we could add action items or improvement items, so we can see those over here as well. So for this, remember I switched from the pink team to the green team, so I already had some loaded up. Hey, for clear team purpose, in order to improve that, we actually have to define one. We don't really have one. So that's something that is a task that we need to do. We need to, for improving getting our product backlog, we need to begin doing regular backlog refinement. And to get better working agreements, we need to review and refine our definition of done, right? Those could be things that we might be doing to improve. So this gives us one place where we can see what's happening in terms of our improvement and managing all the factors. And this is just within one team scope. And as you can imagine, we could start to see this across teams, across an organization as well.